Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is for Owen Styling. Today we are going to be learning how to draft a peak collar jacket pattern. Okay, so here I have all my tools, your pattern drafting tools and your pattern paper, of course. To draft a peak collar jacket, just like every other design, you are going to need your basic bodice block, both front and back, and I already have that here. So just like our regular basic bodies, for the neckline of the back I use 3 inches wide, then I use 1 inch for the depth, 1 inch rather. Then I mark up to my waistline. I took my waist dart, my chest line and the jacket lace. So for the front now, before you could start drafting a jacket, you need to leave allowance of about 4 to 5 inches at the top. Then before the center front line, you leave allowance as well up to like 4 to 5 inches. This depends on how wide you want your lapel to be. Okay, so from the shoulder I take my chest line, the bust point, waist and the jacket length, just like the way we draft our basic bodice block. Then I took my waist dart, then from the waist dart I connect to the bust point and back to the jacket length, just like you see me doing. Then I find the midpoint of the shoulder, I connect to the bust point. Then as for the neckline, I use 3 inches wide and 3 inches for the depth. Now the next thing you want to do now is to start with the jacket pattern. So for the back, we are going to start with the back. You measure round what you have on the neckline. You take your time and measure round whatever you have, you note it down. So for this one I have 3.5 inches rather. So whatever measurement you have around your neckline, you have to note it down because you are going to use it when we want to draft the collar for the front. On a jacket pattern, just like every other jacket, the first thing you want to do is the placket. And for the placket, we are going to use 1 inch for the placket. Mark 1 inch from the center front line, just like you see me doing, from the neckline down to the jacket length. So this measurement depends on how wide your placket is, the design you're working on, or whatever you're trying to achieve. So after marking the points, you're just going to connect with a straight line, just like you see me doing, from the neckline down to the jacket length. So after the placket now, the placket is where you have your button and buttonholes. It's just like your button allowance. So the next thing we want to do now is to plot our breaking point line. You determine your breaking point line. The breaking point line stops where your button and buttonhole starts. It can be exactly on your waist, above your waistline, or even below your waistline. So wherever you want it to be, you connect back to the neck width, just like you see me doing. So I want to maintain my waistline. That is why I'm connecting from the line outside the placket. The placket line, not the center front line. So after this now, we want to create our lapel. But for the peak collar lapel, it is not going to be like a regular notch collar. It's going to be different. Okay, so for this one, we are going to start from the shoulder line. You're going to mark 5 inches down. Okay, so mark 5 inches down, and that 5 inches we are going to be connecting it with a temporary line. It's just going to be like a guide for us. So I'm going to mark the 5 inches from the center front line up to the breaking point line, just like you see me doing. Then I'm going to connect with a broken line back to the placket line. Okay, so from this line now, you're going to go down by 2 inches, or you can also maintain 1.5 inches. So from that 5 inches I marked earlier, you go down by 2 inches or 1.5 inches. For this one, I'm going to maintain 1.5. Then I'm going to connect back to this 5 inches on the breaking point line, just like you see me doing. And this time the line is going to be very visible because it's going to be permanent. So now we are going to be creating a diagonal line from these 2 inches. So to make it that easy, you go up by 1 inch, and from that 1 inch you go out by 1 inch again. All right, then you're going to connect back to these 2 inches. Or better still, if you have a curve ruler, you can just mark on a 45 degree. Okay, you place your curve ruler just like you see me doing, and you mark the diagonal line on 45 degree. This is optional. That is why I showed us the first method. So once you mark it like this, you connect back to the 1.5 inches we marked earlier. This is just to guide us so that we don't have a line that is too high and at the same time a line that is too low. All right, so that is just what I'm trying to do. It is optional. If you are good with your lines, just go ahead and connect the 1 inch back to the 1.5 inches we marked earlier, and you're good to go. So that's it. So from here now we are going to connect back to our breaking point, and this time around you can be creative about it. You can make it a straight line, you can use a curved line, just like I'm placing mine right now. So, and you can also use your straight line. If you have any design on your jacket or maybe whatever you're trying to achieve, just go ahead and be creative about your lapel. But whatever you are going to do, make sure you connect back to the breaking points. So guys, this is what I'm going to use, just a little bit of curved line, and our lapel is ready. So if you want to raise your lapel, then you're going to increase the length. Now we want to move to the collar. To use the collar, remember we have 3.5 inches here. So what we are going to do is to raise this neckline. This your breaking point line that is coming from the pattern, just raise it up a little bit. Okay, extend the line, then you go ahead and mark your 3.5 inches. So from this 3.5 you determine the width of your collar. So for this one I'm going to use 3 inches. You can use 3.5, 4 inches depending on what you're trying to achieve. Okay, after marking the collar width, you're going to connect back to the lapel. To create that slant line, you can just use your discretion to draw a slant line upward a bit, or if you have this kind of ruler, you can make use of your 90 degree to get the slant line correctly. So if you do not have this, it is optional. If you do not have it or you don't know how to use it, just leave it. Okay, so you can check my notch collar jacket on how I did the collar area. This is actually very straightforward. I'm really sorry it's not showing very well, so I'll drop a link to the video on how to connect that line. Okay, or maybe I should just share us a video just like the one we are seeing now. So that's how we are going to connect our line, and we are going to connect back to the lapel. But before we connect to the lapel, we need to work on this particular area. So what we are going to do, we are going to be creating a little bit of notch around here. So from this line you mark 0.25 like so, then you connect back to this 1.5 inch point. All right, so from this point now is where we are going to connect back to our collar width. Okay, so for this one I'm just going to use a straight ruler. All right, so unlike the notch collar that we are going to be having a little bit of curve, and as for this one as well, you can decide to make it of a slant line or maybe a bit of curve around your collar. This depends on choice and what you are trying to get. All right, so that's just the difference between the notch and the peak collar. So if you have not seen the notch, please kindly check the description box below. I'm going to be dropping the link to that video, and also our notch collar sets, we have that one too. I'm going to drop it. So we are going to be cutting on this tiny line. We are going to be cutting out the tiny line. So if you look at a peak collar, it's used to have a bit of slant line around in between the collar and the lapel. So if you want your lapel bigger, wider, this depends on you, and you should already have allowance at the front of your center front line, just like I explained earlier. Then you are going to extend it just like you see me doing. This depends on choice actually. If you want to have a dramatic lapel, you are good to go. So guys, that'll be all for the lapel side, and the next thing I want to do after this, now I'm not going to be using this immediate line. I'm going to be working on the line that I have earlier. Okay, so I'm just going, I just use that as an example, so you might want to have a wider lapel. So that's for the front, and as for the back, there is nothing much. We're just going to cut out the waist start and through this line that we have to the shoulder. So after that, I'm just going to go ahead and label this as the side back, and also I have my center back, and I'm going to be cutting 2 for each of this. Then totally we are going to be having like 4, and I'm going to indicate the side if I have seam allowance or not. But before cutting out the front pattern, we need to work on the bust start to eliminate the difference between the front and the back. All right, so remember you are not going to have the same length. So for this one, I'm going to be using 1.5 inches difference. Yours can be 2 inches or even more than that. Then from that point, you connect back to the pulse point, just like you see me doing. Then this dart, we are going to be closing it up or you are cutting it out. You just want to eliminate it. All right, so after which you have plot your bust dart, the next thing you want to do is to cut out the side like so. And when you are cutting, make sure you leave a little bit of allowance by the side, because by the time we close the bust dart, we are still going to be having like a shortage. So to eliminate or to avoid that, we need allowance by the side. So what I want to do now, to close a dart, we need to open another one. So for me to be able to close the bust dart, I need to open up the waist dart, and I'm just going to slash through the line like so. We are still going to be cutting out the waist dart, so I'm just going to open up like so. Then I'm going to be folding in my bust dart like so. So with this now, I have eliminated the difference between the front and the back. I'm just going to hold this down with a masking tape. All right, so with that, we have closed our bust dart. Then we can now proceed to cutting our pattern. So by the side here, we are going to reconnect from the chest line down to the waist. This is why you need enough or a little bit of allowance after folding your dart. So I'm going to proceed to cutting of the pattern, just like you see me doing. Please pay close attention to what I'm cutting and how I'm going to be cutting it out. So I'm going to start by cutting out the waist dart through the line to the shoulder area. I'm going to cut out the shoulder slope, the armhole, and the side front is ready. So for the center front, you're going to cut through the lapel line that you want to use. As you can see, I already cut out the one I don't want. And as for the collar area, to separate the collar from the lapel, you see the way I cut it, and I cut out the collar area as well. Okay, so by the time you fold in the lapel, you finish up with your collar and join your lapel. This is how it's going to look like, and I guess we are getting the idea already. So after all this, what you want to do next is to separate the collar from the bodice. So please, you need to watch this part carefully. So I want to remove the collar. The collar is not going to be like our notch collar or the short collar. It's going to have a little bit of different shape. So you are going to cut according to the lines that you have through the neckline, and with that you have separate your collar from your body. So this is how the lapel is going to be, and you're going to be joining this back. Okay, you're going to join it back by the time you want to do the cutting and sewing. So the cutting and sewing of this tutorial is going to be coming up very soon. Okay, and this collar area you're going to be cutting on fold. The side front you're going to be cutting to. The center front you are also going to be cutting to. Then as for the side on the hem of the jacket, you can decide to have a little bit of curve line just to have a shaping at the side. It is optional. You can decide to leave it straight, and at the same time you can decide to have a curve just like I have here. Okay, and as you can see, for the side front and the side back, it aligns because we already eliminate the difference by using our bust dart. Okay, so you want a curve, you do the same thing at the back. Then another thing you can have on your jacket, you can also have a princess seam, that is your armhole princess dart. So instead of having a shoulder dart, you can just go ahead and plot your armhole princess dart. So if you do not know how to draft and cut an armhole princess dart, I already have a video on that as well. Kindly check the description box for the link to that video. So you can have at the front and also at the back. Both front and back can have your princess seam or princess dart on your jacket. It is not a must you have only your waist dart and shoulder dart. Okay, so just go ahead and explore your creativity. You are just going to connect from the armhole back to your waist darts. So if you are going to be having a princess seam at the front, you are also going to need your bust dart, but there will be no slant line on the shoulder area. So you're going to connect from the armhole back to your waist darts, just like you see me demonstrating here. You might want to check the bustier video, check the link below, and trust me, it is detailed and very straightforward. It is easier to get. So with this, you have come to the end of this tutorial. Thank you very much for your support. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, like and share this video. Until next time we meet again, bye bye.